Hi guys, and welcome to Samsung Now. Samsung Now is where we look at all things Samsung, all things tech, and all things gaming and everything in between. Today we're doing another 4K UHD movie release, and we're looking at Arrival. Arrival stars Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner and Forest Whitaker. It's out on 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray and digital HD, and you can get it all in one pack, which you can here. Sadly, it doesn't include the noir version, and I'll keep going on about that until one day they include them in every pack. So what is it about? Well, Adams is basically a linguist. She's a scientist who's brought in suddenly when the Earth is visited by huge monoliths scattered throughout the globe. No one knows why they've arrived, no one knows why they're here, and she's brought along with Renner, who's a mathematician, and both of them together learn to establish a means of dialogue and communication with the aliens that reside in these huge monolithic structures that just sort of float above the Earth. And these are sprinkled around the globe in sort of key cities and locations, and because of politics and global power and misunderstanding in terms of what's being said by the aliens and how that's interpreted and how we interpret that and how that's interpreted by politics and power and different nations and different struggles between different nations, this escalates into a complete breakdown, ironically, in communication on our own planet against the very people or aliens that we should be looking to bring together and communicating with. So that's the sort of ironic thing about this movie. So, you know, we find out what they want, and this causes an awful lot of problems and a whole breakdown in communication globally. And Adams and Renner manage to create a means of communication that is unique and is pictorial, and you know, it's really well done. It's very clever how they've done that. There are moments where you sort of think, would you get it from that? Would you, you know, but you understand the struggle and the frustration that both of them have in sort of communicating, and also in terms of the other side, in terms of the aliens communicating with us and telling them what they want from us. And what is also interesting is there's this sort of underbelly of what's going on, is that there's a real significance with Adams's past, present and future, and how that's interwoven within the whole story. So that adds an extra layer of complexity to it, which makes the movie worthy of watching again, because it enables you to sort of understand those subtleties that you may have missed maybe the first time and made you go, do what now? What? So yeah, Adams plays a great character in this. She's kind of broken by the loss of her daughter. She's kind of starting her day again and devoting herself to teaching. She suits the character pretty well, you know, and she kind of surprises me in this role. You know, she's sort of, there's a maturity and a subtlety about it. And combine that with Renner, who's this slightly awkward and clumsy character. You know, it's slightly different character for him to play than normal, and with that and the on-screen chemistry that it seems to be apparent between the two of them, it works very well as both, you know, sort of as they're both trying to figure out what to do to communicate with these aliens, and that sort of natural chemistry is kind of coming across somewhat in the movie also, so that works really well. The weaker character, for me, I have a real bugbear with Forest Whitaker. I really think he's overrated. I do not think he's a good actor. There are far, far better actors. I think a lot of the work he just gets because he's Forest Whitaker rather than being a decent actor. And the role he plays is this general, you know, usual gruff general who seems to know it all, wants answers straight away and what have you. and it just comes across as really wooden, and it really spoils the film for me. You know, maybe I'm sure a lot of people really like him. You know, I didn't like him in the Star Wars movie he was in. I thought he was rubbish in that too. But you know, just something about the guy. You know, I'm sure he's a really lovely guy, and I've seen interviews with him, and he's a really nice guy, really genuine, humble, and everything. But Jesus, he can't act. The man can't act. What is great in the movie is the special effects in the movie are used subtly. There's not too much. It's not in your face. You know, you sort of hear of aliens and a movie, and you expect it to be ridden with special effects. They've used them really well and really subtly. And there's a darkness and inky blackness to everything that works really well, and with how their language works and how that's displayed in all this sort of white and black, it kind of works really well, and it's picked up incredibly well on HDR and a 4K TV. So yeah, the transfer to 4K is really good. You get a real sense of these and scale of these sort of monolithic structures. And I'm glad they've kind of done it that way. I'm glad it's not the usual aliens visit Earth, you know, things are going to go bad and there's lots of too much blowing up and special effects. This is a more it's a real thinker, you know. You really have to. It's one I had to watch twice because there was some real moments I thought, what the hell is going on? But yeah, it's a cerebral movie, you know. It really makes you think, and it really sort of pushes the question out there: how would we as a world react with one another, let alone with aliens, if aliens arrived? You know, what would happen? And that's kind of addressed in this movie, and it makes a sort of an additional layer to it. It's really clever. The sound is Atmos enabled, and as some of you probably know, I've got Atmos speakers, and it really works very well. It's very subtle. The score in the movie doesn't override it. It complements it just well. The way the aliens communicate, there's a real deepness. There's a weight to it, and that's transferred very well, both in terms of the color and everything, but more so that sort of added depth added by the sub on the bass and everything. So that works really well. The extras in the movie, you know, are standard fare really. We've got things like the understanding, arrival, and the linguistics, sound design, score, the usual stuff. You probably really wouldn't bother with it too much. The HD version is pretty good, obviously, because, you know, you get a lot more detail in the darker areas with HDR than you do in terms of HD. But if you've just got a HD TV and a HD Blu-ray player, then it's great. It's still worth picking up. So yeah, you know, overall, it's a great movie. Its story is well written. The dialogue is a bit limited at times, and Whittaker, when he comes in, makes me cringe because you know it's going to be delivered in a wooden fashion. But that's the weakest link in the movie, is Forrest Whitaker. Sorry, Forrest. Sorry. But overall, you know, everyone else is good. The story is great. It's well paced. Possibly you kind of left wanting a bit more. I don't know whether that's deliberate. You're kind of wanting to know more about these aliens and what they want and why they were here. And maybe that's just part of the movie's appeal, that they take that from you, you know. But it would be nice if that were extended a bit more. Yeah, but overall, you know, it's a movie that I would recommend to buy. It's a real thinker. It's one that stands up to watching again and again. Certainly, you know, that's always a good sign of a good movie, if you're willing to sit down and watch it, you know, all over again. And this is very much the case with Arrival. Yeah, so I would really recommend you go out and buy that. We've got more reviews incoming. And don't forget to look out for them. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. And if you've seen the movie, don't forget to comment too, but don't go any spoilers. That's about it. I really recommend the movie. We've got more 4K UHD Blu-ray reviews coming very, very soon. Keep a lookout for them. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.